Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Inside. Today we're looking at a copy of Man, Myth, and Magic. This is from 1982 by Yaquinto Publications, stock number 4306. Now they also did another game called Pirates and Plunder, which was a pirate themed game. This one is more of your stock fantasy type games. We got this Roman looking guy, this Egyptian looking lady, some goofy looking wizard cultist. We got some sword fighters here. Like, I don't know what they're supposed to be, but we got like a Norse looking ship. We got the Stonehenge looking circle. So yeah, this one's in pretty tough shape on the box. And that's not surprising considering it's from 1982. A lot of these didn't hold up well, and Yaquinto did not make the highest quality of boxes. These were basically just your standard cardboard box with books in them. They weren't reinforced or anything like that. So you'll note that there's a lot of damage and edge wear around here where stuff had been stacked up or banged around. So that's not surprising with these older sets. Now, not a lot of imagery. We just got some very simple layout, which kind of tells me that they tried to cut a little bit of budget. This has more of a historical theme and less of a fantasy theme. So I think they were going for a little bit more kind of realism. Yeah, the riddle of Stonehenge, the secrets of the pyramids, the mystery of the ancient worlds. As you play Man, Myth, and Magic, role-playing game of man's greatest adventures. It's a fantasy role-playing game set in the ancient world. So there's going to be like a lot of history type stuff. But inside we're going to find 3 complete books containing all the rules. There's 6 adventures, 3 for the basic game and 3 for the advanced game. There's a Game Master Guide, various charts, tables, blah blah blah. 2 percentile dice, a pad of character sheets, and a player aid with information and large fold-out sheets to tear apart. Now this copy is complete, so we are going to see all of that. So let's get into it. Alright. So right here we've got our dice. Now these look like D20s, and they are 20-sided, but they're only numbered 0 through 1 twice. So they're technically D10s. And these were how they were used. Most games that had D10s used these type of dice. So these are actually a little smaller than some of them, and they're different colors, and the numbers are different colors. Like one set is red, of 0 through 9, and the other set is black, 0 through 9. And on the red die you've got, I think this one actually has 10, nope, number 9 is underlined, of course. It's 0 through 9 in white, and 0 through 9 in black. So you could use these as percentile dice, and yeah, pretty much if you were rolling D20, this is how you were rolling for 1 through 20. So usually they were used for percentiles or 1 through 10. And that wasn't until later that D10s really hit the market like we know them now. So little interesting history note that these were more common back in the day. So yeah, that's the tiny little dice. Make sure you look for these. These are actually kind of hard to find now. You can order them online, but they usually cost a little bit more. And these have like a way cheaper plastic feel. And surprisingly, these were actually high quality for the time because you didn't have to color in with a little wax stick to fill in the colors like you did with the D&D ones that came out a little later. The really, really cheap ones. Alright, so here we have Book 1. And following Yaquinto's standard operating procedure, Book 1 is the basic rules. Like most places, or most companies did. They had the basic rules, and then there was a book for the advanced rules. Yaquinto was known for being a little overly complicated, though. Ooh, that's not good. That's one of the handouts. Let's just ignore that for now. Alright, so this is 24 pages. And here you have your player aid information for quick reference. And then you've got a character sheet here, and they did not put the usual photocopy for personal use information there, so yeah, you don't get a photocopy of that one. But yeah, it's real simplistic, not a lot of art. Even some repeated art, we just saw that on the previous page. A little bit of mappage, not much in the way of detailing. But this one wasn't quite as complicated as the Pirates and Plunder, which was a little bit more rules heavy and chart heavy. So that was the basic book. Okay, here's your player characteristic modifier table. This is where it gets complicated with this system. If you like charts, this is a good one for you. And then there's a character sheet again. This is the advanced character sheet with a little bit more on it. So we have our basics, and then we have the optionals, and like swimming, loyalty, blah blah, combat stuff, weapons modifiers, current life points, current wealth, current power points, etc. And then there's just more and more charts as it gets more advanced. So the advanced rules were a little bit more complex. A lot of players that play game RPGs now probably wouldn't like these systems because they were a little bit more heavy on dice rolling and numbers. And it was a little more, I don't know, a war game fashion, I guess, because these were still evolving from war games. So our third book, which again has the exact same cover, is the adventure book. Now this is supposed to be for the lore master, and the lore master is the game master or dungeon master. They all had to give it a different name so they didn't get sued. Nothing on the back. And this one is 52 pages, and it's really just all the information you would need to run those 6 adventures. 3 basic, 3 advanced. So this one has a little bit more variation in art, which is odd because the players are never going to see that as a general rule. Then we've got our other stuff here. Let me get the box out of the way. Here's your maps. We saw one of them kicking around in the player's book. And these would be your foldouts. Oh, somebody cut one out. It's not as complete as I thought. So you have this one's missing, but you'd cut up these and give them to players to use as you'd go through the adventure. There's one page missing from this set. We saw it earlier in the player's book. Otherwise, here's what we got. You would have your lore master's map, and then you would have a player's map. It's 8 pages total, and they are double-sided. So they would fold over like that, and then fold up. So like there's a pyramid, England, all sorts of stuff. And it would just be related to what was going on. Now this is important, but it's not necessarily critical to the game. You could probably just wing it and draw your own, but it is important if you're a completionist like me. I'm kind of annoyed I didn't notice that part was cut out. I like to have the full thing. Then there was this insert, which is the album game. This is what it's labeled, and then it's got like their information up here. There's a little mail order thing, just an advert. And then you had the character sheets. This pad of character sheets is actually pretty thick. This would have cost you a fair amount of money, especially these days. It probably cost you $10 for this. But yeah, back then they would have charged you, if this was TSR, it would have cost you a lot more. Because you would have had to buy them separate, and there wouldn't have been nearly this many. There would have been probably a third of this for the price of a module, effectively. But you've got your advanced character stats on this side, and on the back you've got player aid information. And that's on every single one. So this is actually a pretty nice bonus to get with the box. Yeah, which kind of put it a little bit ahead of like the red box for D&D, because they didn't give you a whole lot of character sheets, not a whole pad of them. This is a couple years worth of adventures, I think. Unfortunately, the system didn't really catch on that well. It probably could have been a good system if they had tweaked it a little bit, but they just didn't do that. But that is what you can expect to find inside of Man, Myth, and Magic. Now, what's usually missing is the dice and those player handouts. So look for those. The character sheets isn't as big of a deal because you could photocopy the ones out of the book if you absolutely had to, although that might be a copyright violation. I don't know who owns Yaquinto now or what happened to the rights to these games when they folded. I kind of think they're probably floating in limbo. Somebody's got the rights to them that may not even know they own them. But some of these older games were actually kind of fun. They were a little more innovative than just what D&D was, and a lot of them had one or two really cool aspects and a whole bunch of junk. So there might be something worth looking at in here. And if you're a collector for roleplay games, this would be a good one to add to your collection. Same with Pirates and Plunder, just because they're very unique and they really stuck out as like trying to really compete. I mean, this one doesn't have as much art as D&D, but it really was putting an effort in. They really were going for like something similar, but in a different direction. So you got fantasy elements, but you have a lot more historical stuff here. So yeah, I mean, this one might be worth looking into. I know it had some modules. I think I might have a few floating around. But I'll have to look, see if I can track down some adventures so we can look at those. In the meantime, that'll do it for this episode. As always, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. We hope to see you on the next episode of What's Inside.